Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good wherever you are, and welcome to another episode of the Levicity Show. Levicity, the art of doing what's necessary or difficult to succeed, regardless of fear, obstruction, or embarrassment. A life we gotta live. If you guys could tell, we're in a different setup, which I kind of like. This is the first time, like, we're in here alone.
I like Cleon in
Yeah,
I feel like he will randomly just like talk to him. I feel like it adds to what you got going on.
Yeah, true. Yeah. What I like about this is that it's small, I guess. It's cozy. But yes, we are at a new studio. We have a special guest today, Mr. Vanrossum in the building. How's everything?
Everything's good, man. Everything is good. I'm just here, you know.
How's retirement treating you?
Retirement, bro. Retirement it's good, but it has its ups and its downs, you know. Its ups is that you get to do whatever the hell you want to do. Ain't nobody telling you nothing, nobody asking you nothing. You get up when you want to, you do whatever the hell you want to do. The downside of it, it forces you to deal with the shit that you never dealt with, especially being in the military. All that trauma and shit, it forces you to deal with that, because military and civilian life are, as much as it's the same, they're different. You just got, I can't tell you. You just gotta experience it for yourself.
2 more years.
Yeah, that's what you said. You keep saying that shit. I'm gonna keep telling you. You keep saying that shit.
No, I'm done after these.
No, you've been saying that for like the past 5 years now.
I'd run for president before I decide to re-enlist.
And every time you do say that, it always gets more dramatic.
But here's the thing: now that you're E7, it's gonna be harder for you to walk away.
Oh, if anything, I think it's easier because I've been lied to. Like, people say that, the more rank you get.
Your ass that. I try to tell you they're gonna lie to you. I try to tell you that, but
they're like, the more rank you get, the easier it gets.
No, it does not. The more fucking responsibility you have, the more bullshit you got to deal with, the more soldiers you got to deal with. Freaking, if you got 50 soldiers, you got to deal with 50 freaking personalities. Plus, you got to deal with toxic and stupid leadership.
Amen.
Plus, you got to deal with all the other bullshit that comes along with all that shit. So it's a lot of responsibility, man. Good luck to you.
I mean, I got 2 more years.
All you have to do is
just
delegate and just don't answer your calls.
Nah,
that's horrible advice.
As an E7, he doesn't have the capacity to do that.
Funny enough, so I've been on leave for the past 2 weeks, and I don't go back to work until the 5th of July.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I told people, like, yo, I'm on leave, hey, this is happening, this needs to get done, but they're gonna know the truth when they look at this episode. But I just said I don't have access to a computer. So.
Yeah, but you mean you're on leave from work, from SAD?
Yes, but in my head it's the uniform.
Oh, in your head. In your head. In the unit's head, it's like you still gotta come to drill, motherfucker.
Yeah, drill is after my leave, but for these 3 weeks that I'm off, I am a civilian.
Okay.
Well, at least I tried to be, but
good job.
I still had to do like an NCOER and stuff like that. Still
So
new soldiers.
So that means you're doing soldier shit.
Yeah, because
retired, I don't have to do no shoulder shit.
Yeah, I haven't had to do an NCOER. So.
I don't even know what that means. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? This is fun.
Must be nice.
It is. It is very nice. I mean, granted, I'm still a 5. Hopefully, getting my 6 soon. As soon as I go to school, but when
you can take my 7.
No, I'm good.
No, take it.
No, I'm okay. I'm alright. What the sevens do in my section is is not as crazy as yours. Dealing with, I don't know, 70 people, that's wild. But ours is just more so like training and documents and paperwork and stuff like that. And 70 people? Fuck that.
I mean, for the most part, that's what sevens do in our unit. It's just 70 fucking people. You know?
Jesus. And like you were saying, that's 70 personalities. Hell, nope.
I don't know.
No,
how
it's
you
not
do
even.
it, bro.
It's not even just personalities. It's lives. Like whatever that one person has going on. Now take that by 70 people.
Yeah, because as a platoon sergeant, you're responsible for all 70 of those people. Because when some shit go down, they ain't calling that soldier, they calling you. Yo,
But my thing is, shouldn't you be the last person they call to, because you have your sixes and you have your fives?
It's not plural.
Okay, you you have your 6 and you have your 5, and oh well, I guess you can't really break it up. It's not plural. Like there is no.
see, I hear where you're going with that. and in theory, it should be like that. But if I'm being real, this is what happens. You have a soldier, right? Something happened to that soldier got in trouble or whatever. Yes, it's supposed to go up the chain. But once a officer or any higher ranking finds out about it, they're going to call you directly. While it's going up the chain, they're going to call you. Yo, did you hear what happened to your soldier? That's what happened.
And
But
I don't-
now, not to cut you, now you look stupid because you're like, what do you mean? What happened to my soldier? You don't know yet what happened to your soldier, but somebody else knows before you, and they calling you because they think you should know.
But how oh no, go ahead though.
And not only that, I feel like as a 6 and a 5, like you do what you can, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things that the 7 or even the 8 has to like sign off on.
Okay, all right, I get what y'all are saying, and I know me saying this is gonna sound like, because I know it's the army, but that just doesn't, like, you're putting all that on one person to manage 70 people, and you expect it to be efficient.
Well, so I can only speak on my unit and my platoon. Is that technically I have 2 E6s, but one just came out from the deployment and he's ETSing. But my 1 E6 and the E5s that I have, they're very good at their job. Their soldiers do reach out to them first, and if they can handle the problem, they'll fix it at their level. And if it's something that they feel like I should know, they'll be like, hey, Sergeant, just so you're tracking, this happened.
Cool.
But when it gets to my level, it's because the E5s or the E6s can't fix the problem. And then it's my job to fix the problem.
And how often does it get to your level?
There's a lot of...
I think more often than not.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that because I don't know how much time soldiers reach out to their team leaders and squad leaders.
Well, before you say that, for me, I remember when I got out, I was a 6. There's a lot that comes up. It's like, hey, I get what you're coming from. I don't have the authority to say yes or no on that, though. So that happens a lot, in my opinion.
I can see that happening too. And a lot of situations are like just weird things that they feel, and also I feel that I should have the answers for that. Like, for example, if a soldier reached out from the deployment, like, hey, I just came back. When do I report to you guys? The E5 doesn't know that. The E6 doesn't know that. So they expect me to know that. You know, so just situations like that. But, you know, it feels like it's more often than not because it's 70 soldiers total. You know, if it was like, what's a normal platoon, like 30 people?
When I was in, the most I had was 50.
Jesus Christ.
And now you got 70, so you're better than me, bro.
So isn't there an SOP that dictates the amount of like service members that can fall under one one platoon
and one person? No.
Yeah, it's just that meta document.
It depends on the UMR and how the unit is set up.
Yeah.
And if the unit is a support unit, they would have more of either mechanics or more support MOSs, and then that support is going to fall under one person. It's how the UMR is set up.
And it so happens that we're support. So I have all the mechanics. I have, when I say mechanics, I even have the armorers who fix the weapons. I have the alphas who deal with the logistical stuff, the paperwork behind it, and it's majority of the company. But we support an entire battalion, so it makes sense to have 70 soldiers in a platoon of mechanics because they fire, they're field artillery. So they're always in need of mechanical work.
So, nah, because I'm looking.
What you're trying to do is make sense of something that just
No,
doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
No, I understand it, but
That's that Air Force mentality in him.
No, because so the good thing about it is that it gives me the option of seeing it in both perspectives. Because I'm like, if you just implement like your workload would reduce tremendously if they had another 7, or if they even had like I don't know, like a civilian or something that will. I know, but I'm just like thinking about it like critically, like. Because if someone handles the personal stuff, someone handles the professional stuff.
I mean, but that's up to us to do. So, like, I cracked the joke and said that I have a secretary, but I genuinely do. Like, she's my secretary. She is the E5 who's been in the unit for a long time. She knows everyone. So when it comes down to administrative stuff, personal soldier stuff, I can go to her. She knows everyone. She knows their personal lives, the whole 9. Then I have my E6, who is a tech. So when it comes down to maintenance, he is the go-to guy. So, of course, it's 70 people with 1 platoon sergeant, but you use your resources available to, make it work. Now, because of the UMR, I can't have another E7, but I can just use what I have. So it works.
So
it works.
here is something else to take into consideration, right? This is the guard. Active duty, yes, you would probably have a civilian in there, and you probably would not have 70 people for one E7 to be in charge of, right? You probably would have 2 or 3 E6s, and probably another E7. But this is the guard we talking about. We're not talking about active duty. The guard is different.
It's
similar but different.
It's true, but that's just the Army Guard, though. Because I mean, the Air Guard, we're not really the most when it comes to like training and discipline and stuff. Like I love the Air Guard, it's great, but like big Air Force is on like a whole different level than the Air Guard. So you're right. But we implement the things. What we try to do is we try to implement things from the Army, but the Army doesn't try to implement things from the Air Guard. Like Army Guard, we implement things from the Army Guard, but the Army Guard doesn't implement things from the Air Guard. I mean, they only, given an example, right? Let's say the ongoing support mission, asylum support mission that's going on now, like. They're using like hotels and everything for like their service members, but that wasn't an implementation until like COVID, because when COVID first started, it was just like, all right, we got our tents, we got our rucks, where we setting up, and the Air Guard was like what? No, of course not.
Yeah, I'm hearing it now, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, the Air Guard was like, no, what are you talking about? We have hotels for your service members, and they were just like baffled. But it was an implementation that increased productivity. So now, like ongoing missions now support the idea of hotels. So in that aspect, why can't we pull things from like use that same implementation when it comes to like the structure of like
I think y'all are gonna have a real answer, but in my experience, and this is on the extreme end of things, I know that it is, I feel like with the Army, they tend to forget that rules are made up and that they can always be changed. Maybe not even forget, maybe it's just a matter of you have to get someone to sign off on it. And a lot of people don't want to do that level of work. They just try to work within what they have available to them instead of fighting for something different. So it's like the the hotels. It's like, nah, we're used to tents, so fuck it, let's just go into tents. Like, oh, you know, maybe if you just ask somebody, maybe you can get a hotel room.
I feel like this is pure just based off of what I've experienced or seen, but I feel like the Air Force thinks more about comfortability than the Army does. I think the Army, it's mission first. Let's get the job done. Like, isn't the Air Force motto mission first, soldier always?
Or airmen always.
Yeah, airmen always.
No,
I got that from
Is it?
the first Air Force commander that I had.
Mine was. I thought it was fly, fight, win. That's what I thought it was.
Well, that motto is what I heard from an Air Force commander.
No, it's so our core values is like service before self, excellence in all we do, and what was the third one? All right, no one from the Air Force watching this.
You're not a real airman.
Yeah, that's what you think. No one from the Air Force watching this. But here's the thing, right? You gotta also remember it's about who's in charge and who's in NGB that's running the National Guard, right? If you look at it in past history, once one officer leaves and another officer comes in, they implement their ideas of how the Guard should be, right? And then you're like, wait a minute, I don't know if you remember, there was one time when it went to, the Guard is going to the field more. And then a couple years later, it was like, well, they're going to only do Muta 4s or Muta 6s because no people didn't join the Guard to do freaking like Muta 12s. You see what I'm saying? Mm. So it starts from the top, all the way at the top, like NGB, who's in charge of the National Guard, and then it trickles down. So,
I think the system right now it works. I do think that there's always room for improvement. I know this conversation started because of my situation with like 70 soldiers and me being only E7, but I think that's an anomaly. Like, this is the first and only company that I've heard that's set up like that. And it's because they support an entire battalion. We support an entire battalion. Like, I'm supposed to have a chief warrant officer too. We don't have one right now, but I don't know. It's just weird.
But so here's the thing on that, because if you're making it work, then other units would see that and start implementing it, because it's like, hey, if they can make it work, then we can make it work.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta let things fail.
See, that was the 133rd. We just, everything they throw at us, even though we know it'll fail, we got it done. Because our orders were just get it done, figure it out, right? And we got it done, even though it was hard. We got it done. Now, if we had failed, the commander looked bad, the first sergeant looked bad, and no first sergeant and commander wants to look bad because everybody's looking for how good they'll do on their tour and their next rank or their next step.
So, I agree with that.
Plus, I think there's a lot of times where we want more resources for something to get the job done, and it'll make it easier, but you can still accomplish it with what you have right now. Like, an example is CP. Like,
yo, that was in the back of my mind this entire conversation, because sorry to cut you off, but I feel like you have a lot of the things that I wanted when I was there. And it's like, well, I guess somebody realized the rules are made up.
just come back. Just come back. That's it.
Like, it runs so much more efficiently when there's more than 6 people. Mm-hmm. But the rules are the rules, so there's 6 max. But when there's more, it's much more efficient. But we can still, even though it may be a struggle, we can still get the job done with 6 people.
And that's the thing, because they're trying to reduce like fraud, waste, and abuse. They're trying to like minimize.
What?
Oh wait.
No, I like that.
Say that again. He said forward.
He said fraud, waste, and abuse.
Oh, fraud, waste, and abuse.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like.
Sounds like COVID to me.
No, yeah, that's
sounds like you're not getting paid enough.
That's the thing. So that's what we say in our section. Like, my section is like, like fraud, waste, and abuse, like reduce, and it's kind of the thing they try to implement. Like, how can we save Big Brother money? How can we save the government money by doing the most minimum but making it the most efficient as possible? You know, and that is something that trickles down all the way to leadership, and then leadership is like, all right, how can we get this done with the most minimum amount of effort? And then when it gets done, then they're like, all right, we see that you did it with the most minimum amount of effort. How can we do it the same way or better? And then, you know, it just shit just rolls downhill. It's like rolling a boulder uphill.
Yeah, that's the Air Force. That's not the Guard.
No, it sounds like the Guard.
Either way, we all struggling.
Yo, I'm not struggling.
Oh, well.
I'm
okay.
definitely not struggling. I'll tell you that much. Definitely not struggling, bro.
You know, speaking of, so for the people who don't know, who is Vanrossum? What was your MOS? How long have you been in?
So, well, first and foremost, I've been trying to get on this damn show for a year now, right? Because I had some things to say back then. But, you know, with therapy, I'm freaking, you know, pulled back on a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? But no, first of all, thank you for getting me on the show. I'm Sergeant First Class Vanrossum, retired, right? 21 years as a guard, 12 years as an E7. That's one of the reasons why I got out. I'm also a federal technician, right? That was when I was in. Now that I'm out, I am just Phil Vanrossum, and I am a veteran service officer.
Okay, and what exactly is a veteran service officer?
So a veteran service officer is someone that's certified through the American Legion to help service members and veterans with their compensation claims, their disability claims, and their pensions. So they help a soldier or a veteran get their disability claims. If you want to get to 100, you know, you come to us, veteran service officer, right? But we don't just do compensation, disability claims. We do pensions. Pensions meaning DIC, survivors benefits, right? So if a soldier or a veteran, and I'm dealing with people from the Korean War, right? All the way down. Vietnam War, all the way. So if they pass from a service-connected disability, meaning if they are, let's just take cancer, right? So let's say they have cancer and they're getting a disability check from the VA for that specific cancer. If they pass from that cancer and it says it on their death certificate, their spouse gets burial benefits, right? And they also get a prorated rate from what that service member was getting every month.
For life?
For life. Until they die. And when the spouse dies, the spouse can pass it to their kids or to the oldest child.
Shit. Okay.
Oh, wow.
When you say bureau benefits, like, do they pay for the funeral? Like, all the expenses? Is it a percentage?
No, they pay. So right now it's $2,000 for burial benefits, right? But there's requirements you have to hit, right? The death certificate has to say that he passed from a service-connected disability, whatever it is, or something connected to that service-connected disability, right? And you have to apply for it. And the $2,000 is the burial benefits, where you have to get the paid receipt from the funeral home. So basically, you're paying for the funeral, but then the VA is paying you back. It takes a while, but the VA is going to pay you back. And you get up to $2,000 for burial benefits. let's say a veteran was getting 90%, right? And let's say 90% with that spouse and kids. Well, the kids, you have to be 18 or below, right?
Okay.
So basically, at 26, you fall off that as a dependent. So let's say I'm you dealing with a Vietnam veteran who passes from cancer. Even if he has kids, none of those kids are gonna be on his dependent because they're already past the
Past the age.
So the money is gonna go to the spouse.
Okay.
Does that only apply to service connected like diseases, or is it like injuries or as well?
That it applies to any service connected disability. Well, injuries, you're not gonna die from an injury that you have unless that's like some crazy injury that you have. Let's say maybe a back injury, you're not gonna die from a back injury. So it has to be an illness.
Okay, so what if, for example, it's like an infarction, like a heart attack, and you're a retired veteran, but you did suffer a heart attack, and you're not sure if the reason for the heart attack was like service connected.
Okay, so I like that. So if you pass from a heart attack, right? You have to be service connected for something that can cause that heart attack. Diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. These are things that can cause a heart attack. So if you're service connected for those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you pass from a service connected illness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you can file for it. There is non-service connected disabilities
Right.
that you can file for, but that's more. You have to prove more. You have to prove that your non-service connected disability that you passed from was connected to your service. That's kind of a little harder to prove.
Okay, so let me throw something your way. So given the pandemic was a few years ago, right? And I'm sure you've heard scenarios and situations in regards to this. Now, we don't know the true effects of what having COVID will do to us until, I guess, we get later on in our lives. For example, the service members and MOSs from 9/11, most of them are now just starting to pass away from like cancer or any lung diseases. So how would COVID, like having COVID now, and as opposed to like 20 years from now, as an example, if they start developing like respiratory like issues as a result of having COVID right now?
So that would Congress would have to create a law, right, that says these illnesses, like let's say any breeding illnesses, came from the cancer. So now they would have to pass that law and say, hey, these illnesses are presumptive of COVID, like Agent Orange, right?
Right.
Or the PACT Act. The PACT Act by itself is not something that you could claim for, because the PACT Act is just the law. There are presumptive illnesses under the PACT Act that you can file for. The same with Agent Orange. Agent Orange is just the law, right? That says, hey, we're gonna pass this law, call it Agent Orange, right? And these are the presumptive illnesses or cancers that was caused by the Agent Orange. So when it comes to COVID, they would have to pass a law that says, maybe they'll call, I don't know what they'll call it, the COVID Act or something, right?
Right.
So under the COVID Act, they would list a specific illnesses that was caused by COVID. So now when you're trying to file that claim, you could say, Well, I'm trying to file a claim for the COVID Act. Okay, asthma, rhinitis, sinusitis, any upper respiratory conditions. Those are the presumptives of the COVID Act,
Right.
right? And then you file for those presumptive illnesses. So that's how you would file for something if you get for COVID.
Okay. Okay.
It's good information.
Yeah.
So I got a question, right? Like, what is the process of getting a disability rating? Like, I just came out from the deployment. I'm hurt. What's the process?
I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of National Guard members. No,
That was oddly specific.
Yes, I have to be highly specific because I have already known. I'm working with 4 National Guard people that I know that trying to file claims, and I'm like, yo, you don't have a claim here. Here is why, including Air Guard, right? You have to have federal activation or deployment. You have to have some kind of deployment with a DD-214 at the back of it. Because when you file in a claim, one of the main things is your federal service. As a guardsman, if you don't do if you do 5 years as a guardsman and don't have no Title 10, not 32, Title 10 deployments or activations where you get a DD-214, you have no claim. Here is something else that guardsmen don't know. If you don't have any federal time, the VA does not consider you a veteran in terms of filing disability claims. You were still a veteran because you were in and you served your country, but when it comes to filing disability claims, one of the main requirements you need to have is federal time. And that's the only way to show you have the federal time is a DD-214.
So if I'm at a drill status and I'm working on a vehicle and something falls on me and it messes up my back, it would be hard to get that as a claim because I wasn't on Title 10? Or is that something that's easier to prove?
No, you can still file because you have a deployment. You have a DD-214, right? So we can use that because you can say, well, whatever fell on me under the truck aggravated the injury that I had from overseas.
So if a soldier never deployed or anything like that and that situation happens,
he has no claim. It's a LOD. He has no claim.
What about, okay, you're on, let me use COVID again because I was on the mission. So you're on COVID, it gets activated for Title 32, and you got COVID. Are you able to claim that? And you do get a DD-214 at the end. I got one for COVID. Are you able to utilize that to file a claim?
Yes. So, but it depends on what you're trying to file for. COVID by itself, no. The VA is not going to approve that, right? COVID, at the beginning of COVID, right? And I know this because I was the acting first sergeant when the 133rd got activated for COVID, right? When we got activated, it was Title 10, right? And for about a month or so, a month and a half, like 2 months, it was Title 10. And then they switched it to Title 32. Because there is a lot of guardsmen that have a DD-214 for the time that it was Title 10, that they told them, hey, you can get all the VA benefits, like, home loans and educational benefits. So if you have a DD-214 from COVID, yeah, you can file a claim.
Okay. It just can't be for having COVID,
It's
but
just,
it can be like something like, all right, maybe I had pneumonia when I had COVID, or I had like tuberculosis or something like that as a result of COVID, but it can't be actual COVID
Yes,
itself.
exactly.
Okay. The more you know.
A lot of guardsmen, man, they don't know. They think, oh well, yeah, I'm gonna get injured, and I'm gonna go file a claim. Also, SAD.
Oh, yeah.
SAD is state.
Yeah.
It's not federal. So if you get injured on SAD, you don't have a claim. You have a LOD, but you don't have a claim. That's why you guys got insurance, medical insurance.
Yeah.
You
You
go
have
use
to
the medical
have
insurance.
insurance in order to apply now.
Yeah.
Do you see like a lot of fraud?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Worst case scenario, like what happens in those type of cases where it's like blatant fraud?
So there is, on top of survival benefits and disability claims, there's something called aid and attendance, right? So if a veteran gets to the point where they need assistance to like do daily activities, shower, bathing, eating, shaving, things like that, that aid, you can apply for that aid and attendance program, right? And if the VA approves it, you can get money to pay for a caregiver to come and take care of you, right? But here's the thing about the aid and attendance program. There is financial responsibilities or financial caps that you have to reach, right? You can't, one of the big financial cap you have to reach is your total assets cannot exceed $150,000, which includes
Damn.
bank accounts, stocks, bonds, annuities,
That includes a house.
antique furniture. Hold on. The house, if you're living in the house, no, it doesn't include the house. If you're not living in the house and you're trying to rent out the house, now the house becomes assets. Right? So you can't go over, your assets cannot be more than $150,000. I have so many family members that's coming and say, hey, I want to apply for this, but their assets is over $150,000. We have trust funds, all of that stuff. That's all assets, and people try to hide that money because they don't want to use that money, right? You use that money until you get below $150,000, and then you could apply. One of the new frauds that they have now is nexus letters. So if you apply for a disability, right, and it gets denied, right, there's something called a supplemental claim that we can file for, right? To file a supplemental claim, you have to go back to that doctor, and the doctor has to write something called a nexus letter. Basically, he's saying in his medical opinion, your injury or illness is caused by your service, right? And it's gotten worse. People are paying doctors to write nexus letters for them. There's a lot of fraud. A year ago when I started this job, when you file a claim, you can just put at the bottom of the claim, you have to put your financial information, right? Account number, routing number, and name of the bank. Now, because of fraud, the VA needs a voided check to go along with that application to prove that this is your account. So yeah, there's a lot of fraud.
Do you feel like they're cracking? Well, obviously they're cracking down on it more. Do you feel like they're successful in finding it when it happens, or?
More so for the aid and attendance, right? Because the aid and attendance, you have to you have to prove your income every year. And if your income goes over that $150,000, then they can either reduce the benefits or take it away. And some people, like I said, they try to hide money. Now, one of the things that the VA put in place where you can't try to hide the money is that you can't do any transfers of trust or any monies from the past 3 years. But people try to do it all the time and they try to hide the money. It don't work. The VA have, next to the IRS, the VA has one of the strongest and most fearless financial people that can find anything. I've seen veterans' families go from getting $3,000 a month, right, for a year, to them coming in my office like, yo, why did I get this letter that the VA is reducing my money till they took away like over $1,200. Okay, bring your financial information, bring all your stuff. Let me try to figure it out. And 99% of the time is that they went over that financial threshold, and the VA says, okay, because every year you have to report to the VA for that specific benefit, not for nothing else, but that for that aid and attendance, yeah. Especially if the VA deems the veteran incompetent of taking care of his own financial situation, his money, then they assign that veteran a fiduciary. And that fiduciary has to report to a fiduciary board every 6 months of what they use that money for. And if they can't produce what they use that money for, they're going to take that money back. And in most times, you're going to owe, because they're going to go back to as far as, if you can't produce what you've used that money for, they're going to go back to last year. Ooh. And now you owe. So I have a daughter of a veteran right now who is the fiduciary, right? Last year she was getting the money, right? The VA reached out to her and say, hey, we need your medical expense report. That's what it's called. We need your medical expense report. She ignored the letter. Now, that was last year. This year, they waited January, February, March, April, May, June. They sent her a letter. Hey, we're proposing, because of your last year's income, we're proposing to reduce your benefit over $1,000. And that raised the red flag in her head. Oh, wait. The VA is going to reduce my money. Let me go figure out what's going on. That's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Sounds like a lot of bells and whistles, like a lot of hoops you got to jump through to maintain this. So what you're saying is just basically like keep itemized receipts and don't spend above the limit. But
see, the money that the VA is giving is for the veterans' care, right? So you have to have receipts of everything that you do for that veteran. If you take that veteran to the doctor, if you take them to the hospital, if you have to drive them, how much miles you drive.
Right.
If you buy medical supplies with the money, everything you use that money for, you got to account for it. But here's the problem. A lot of people get that money and they think, oh, my dad is getting this money, so we can use that money to pay the mortgage. But again, that's only for that aid and attendance benefits. For a regular disability benefits where you get the percentage, you don't have to do that.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine.
So I do have a question, right? As far as disability is concerned, is there a time constraint or a period of time that you have to file? Like, let's say, for example, Darwin got out. In 5 or 10 years from now, can he claim, like, hey, you know what? When I deployed, this happened. I was hurt. I think it's time I claim it.
Yeah. There's no time limit. I am dealing with people from Vietnam era that was on boots on ground in Vietnam.
True.
As a matter of fact, I'm also dealing with Korean veterans that fight in the Korean War that never ever filed a claim, never thought they could file a claim.
In those situations, do they get like back pay?
No. Okay, so when you decide to file a claim, right? The first two things you sign is a power of attorney, limited power of attorney, which just allows whoever is helping you represent you to the VA and an intent to file. That intent to file date, it doesn't matter. You have a year to get your whole packet in. A lot of people do get it before then. But the reason why that intent to file is so important is that it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year or more, depending on the amount of claims, for the VA to make a decision, right? Once the VA makes a decision, it doesn't matter how long it takes. That's where that intent to file comes in, because you get that retro pay to that intent to file date. So a Vietnam veteran who fought in Vietnam can't get a retro from way back. No.
Wait, so how does the process work if they, let's say they are a Vietnam or Korean War veteran and they don't have the necessary paperwork to say, like, hey, I was injured on this day for this reason? You know?
That's not a good question. So once they have a DD-214, right? Once we submit the packet, the VA has something called a duty to assist, meaning that once the VA gets your packet, in the process, the VA reaches out to the DOD and pulls all your medical records, including any injuries, service records, medical records. So they look at that, right? Let's use a Vietnam veteran, right? He has prostate cancer. Let's just use prostate cancer, and he has a knee injury and a back injury, right? We would need a current diagnosis of those three things. So he would go to the doctor and get a diagnostic letter. The doctor would say, hey, I've been seeing such and such for this amount of time. He is diagnosed with a slip disc, 5D or whatever it is, right? He is diagnosed with prostate cancer, right? And we would use that diagnostic letter, right, to attach with the actual packet.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
And that's how the VA knows what you're filing for. When we, on the actual claim form, we put down what it is. If there is an actual incident that happened that made you hurt your back or hurt your knees, we put that down. So once the VA gets that packet, and let's say you went to sick hall or you went to the TMZ, let's use a deployment. You got hurt on a deployment and you went to the TMZ, right? And it's documented. Once the VA pull those records, they're going to see that. So they look at the diagnostic letter, personal statements. It actually calls, its actual name is called a lay statement. For civilians, it's a personal statement. Basically, you are explaining what happened and you're linking it to how it affects you, how that injury that happened affects you today.
Okay.
So in that scenario, right, where you say they pull it directly from the DOD, whatever happened, if you went to the sick call or whatever, say you go to sick call and the doctor you see says, I hear what you're saying, but you seem fine to me. Then what?
That's where the current diagnosis and the lay statement comes in, right?
'Cause that's what happened to me too.
And here's something else that the VA looks at when they're making the decision for a claim. CMP exams. Those CMP exams are very pivotal, right? Basically, when you go to a CMP exam, you have to basically sell your injury to that examiner that's talking to you. And they write their notes. And once they write their notes, they submit their notes to the VA. And that's what they look at also. So if it's not in your service records, they'll go by the diagnostic letter, your lay statement, and the CMP examiner notes.
Okay, so that also applies to like the stubborn soldier who gets hurt on deployment but refuses to go to see medical care.
Again, goes and I'm going back to Vietnam era because for some reason when during Vietnam, none of us was alive, but during Vietnam when they came back, they never knew about the VA. They never knew that they could, no one told them that they can file claims. So when they're sitting next to their buddies that already filed a claim and they're like, well, nobody told me I could file a claim. Well, yeah, you can. You go file this claim. Here is this number. Call these people and they'll help you out.
I got a random question because I have a friend who said that this happened to their father. Have you ran into an issue where a Vietnam veteran, they can't find a DD-214?
Yes.
What happens with that?
When you cannot find your DD-214, you go to nationalarchives.gov and you request your service records. So for a Vietnam veteran, they would go and request their service records. And including when you're doing that request online, it asks you, do you want just your DD-214? Do you want your whole military record? So everything that the archives have, they're going to send it to you. Now, there is a program for recent veterans or recent soldiers that get out and don't have or can't find their DD-214. It's called, what it is, I don't remember. I just lost the word, what it is. But it's from 2000, I think it's like 2006 forward, right? That we can actually pull up, you fill out an application and we can pull up your service records.
Is that just, I believe that might be just...
But that's only if you're trying to file a claim and you don't have a DD-214. Most people from 2016 to present have a DD-214. I mean, from 2006 to present, have a DD-214.
Yeah, because you can use, even in the Air Guard, we have this section called PRADA, and that's...
It's called PRADA?
It's an acronym, of course. I think it's like personal records and data something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But on there, you have your entire military history. Even your branches of service you served in, and you have your DD-214 right there looking at you. And you could just click on it, print it, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's say that I came back from a deployment. I'm ready to claim. It's my first time. What exactly is the process? Do I immediately try to find a veteran service officer? Do I just go to the VA? What exactly be the process to start that?
So there's a couple of ways. You can do it yourself, right? But it's a hassle trying to do it yourself, right? You're gonna have to do a lot of research, all of that stuff, right? But you can definitely do it yourself. But you can go to a your local veteran service officer, right? And you can say, hey, I want to file a claim. The veteran service officer says, okay, give me a copy of your DD-214. He asks you, so what you want to claim for? right? What are your illness or injuries that you have, right? You bring him the diagnostic letters and the lay statement, and he does the paperwork for you. All you do once the paperwork is done and everything is done and the packet is done, you go back into him and they review the actual application and you sign it and we submit it. When we submit it, it goes directly straight into the VA system. Because I literally work along. I have an attachment with the VA, so I can see people along with that power of attorney form that you sign. I can look into any veteran's disability profile, just their disability profile, and I can see if they're service connected, if they have a rating, what it's for. I can see their CMP exams. I can see the results of their CMP exams. I can see if it's in their favor or not.
Oh, shit. So now for a veteran service officer, do you guys work with certain branches and components, or is it encompassed to all? Like
No,
Navy,
it doesn't.
Marine?
It doesn't matter. Once you wear a uniform and you're out, we work with you.
Okay. And how do people find their local veteran service officer?
You can Google local veteran service officer. Now there is. I don't know about the Brooklyn VA, but I know in Northport in Long Island there is a specific office for that has veteran service officers. So you can go there and ask for a veteran service officer. Half of the time they're not there. And then they'll say, okay, well, here is this number, call them, and that'll be our office number. And because we're so close to Northport, and the relationship that we have with Northport and the people at Northport, that they just when veterans say, hey, how can I file a claim? They say, oh, here you go. Here is this number. Call these people. They'll help you.
Okay. What is some common benefits, veteran benefits that people don't know about, but should know about?
When you say common veteran benefits, what you mean?
Well, I guess what's some benefits that a lot of people don't know about? An example I could give is I heard something about when you're at a certain percentage and you buy a home in certain locations, you don't have to pay property taxes.
Yes, that's one of the, but you have to be 90, 80 or above.
Okay.
%, right? And then you get a discount on your property taxes. Now, when you say property taxes, for people who own homes, they're gonna be like, oh, my property taxes, that's all the taxes I pay. Depend on the town you live in, you pay for the schools, you pay for the fire department, you pay for the police, you pay for sanitation, you pay for sewage, you pay for water, you pay for all these things, and that's all encompassed in your property taxes, right? Mm-hmm. But the property taxes that you get the discount on is only the actual town taxes, not the entire bill.
Okay. Oh.
So, with that being said, are there any other benefits that you see common misconceptions like that with?
You have the, every other benefits that everybody else knows, the educational benefits, the home loans, the schools. That's basically the benefits that you can get.
There is I work with a disabled veteran. He was prior Navy, and he was saying something about he likes to golf. So him being a disabled veteran with 100%, he got like this card, pretty much, that allows him to get like 50% off like the first, I think it was 8 holes of like golfing or something. It's very specific, but like I was gonna say, like, with that being said, are there like establishments that do have that form of like provides that form of services to disabled veterans? Like, do you have examples of those?
Yeah, so the VA itself, Northport, their grounds have a golf course, and if you're a service connected disabled vet, you can play golf for a discounted rate, right? The parks passes. If you, depending on what percentage you have, if you have 100%, you can get a park pass. All national parks for free. There is, if you live in certain counties, like if you live in Suffolk County, I don't know about Nassau, but if you live in Suffolk County gives you a veteran resident card, discount card, where you can get discounts at, you show that card, you could get discounts at like Applebee's and Texas Roadhouse.
More than
Lowe's.
the military ID?
It's probably about the same.
Probably about the same.
Lowe's, Depot, things like that. But there's still that if you have, if you're a veteran or military personnel, and you go into Home Depot and you say, can I get a military discount? It's the same as the military discount, but that veteran is not in, still in, they're out. So that card proves that they're a veteran.
Right. Okay. All right.
So I got a question for, because there's a lot of people who don't know, refer to it as VA map, right? Because you mentioned with the home that it applies for taxes 80% or above. Mm-hmm. But now if I claim 2 injuries and they each give me 50%, I am not at 100%.
You're not at 100%. Listen, VA mat. Honestly, I don't even understand VA mat. One of my colleagues in the office tried to explain it to me, and this is how he explains it to me. When you come in the military, you are 100% able, right? You get, let's say you get injured, right? And you get a 50%. So now you're 50% able. When you file a claim, that 50% is now 100%. It's weird.
Wait, that 50% is 100% able or unable?
Yeah, so they whatever the claim is going to come out of that 50%.
Okay, so it's 50% of 50%.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So the injury makes you 50%, but the claim is 50% of that 50%. Mm-hmm. Got you. Okay.
Because you hear a lot of people.
a lot of people say, yeah, well, it's easy to get that 100%. No, it's not. It really easy. Yeah. Because if they rate you, if you're, let's say they rate you at a 34, right? You gotta be over 35 to get that 40%. You see what I'm saying? Mm. So if you're at a 34 rating, which would be a 30% rating, right? And it all depends on how many claims you put in, right? And how much those claims are. If you get a 35 or a 36% rating, now you're at a 40%. So you can have 50%, a 30%, a 10% for your knees, 10% for your shoulders, 30% for migraine headaches, and you're still at a 50 or a 60, and you're like, yo, wait, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, that's not how the VA mat works, bro.
Does it apply to not only physical but like mental illness?
Yes, it does apply to mental illness. So mental conditions, right? Mental health condition consists of, that's the big umbrella, that consists of anxiety, depression, adjustment disorder, everything in between all the way to PTSD. So, and each one of those have a different rating. So you can have adjustment disorder, and there's a criteria that you have to reach that only the VA knows, that you can get a 30%. Now, for any mental health illness, it's rated, starts from 10%, 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100. So the higher the rating is, the more severe your mental health issue is. You know, you can't, it affects you from working, let's say, and I'm gonna use myself as an example. I am rated 50% for migraines, right? That 50% of migraines, the reason how I get 50% of migraines is because it affects I have to leave work, or it affects my work more than 3 times a day, or more than 3 times a week, right? So it's so severe that they rate me at a 50%. So if you just get headaches once a month, they may rate you for migraines, but it's gonna be very low. It's gonna be like a 10% or a 20%.
Okay.
It has to affect your way of life or your daily activities.
That sparks a question, right? Because you mentioned PTSD. Because I know there's a lot of people on SAD who they want to go through the claim process. PTSD is one of the claims that they want to put in, but they're worried that if they claim PTSD, they're no longer qualified to work on their job. So my question is there different types of PTSD? Is there different ratings that'll put you in a status where you're unable to carry a firearm or something like that?
It depends on the level of your mental health. So let's say you get rated as anxiety with major depression. I would not, when it comes to mental health and anyone that carries a firearm or have to use the firearm for their daily job, I tell them don't chance it. Don't do it. So anyone on SAD, and they're thinking of filing a claim for mental health, or they'll say PTSD or anxiety. But for me, I know it as a mental health condition, right? I would advise them to not do that until they're out of the military. Because if you do that and you get rated for it, right? The VA does not reach out to your unit. But as we know, the military is so small that somehow, somewhere, someone is going to find out that you're getting a rating, right? And if you're getting rating for a mental health issue, you're going to be over 50%, right? Then, and this is including all your other claims, right? So you're eventually going to be over 50%, right? 50% means now the money that you're getting is more than your drill check. So you can't get paid for drill. Write that down. That's something I'm going to explain too, because a lot of people don't understand that. So let's say you have 50%. Your 50% check that you're getting every month tax-free is more than your drill check, right? So you have to now, you can't collect both because you're going to owe at the end of the year. Nobody wants to owe. So you have to let your unit know that you have a 50% disability, right? Depending on the leadership you got, they may say, okay, cool, you got 50%. All right, cool. They may want proof, right? Because they're not going to take your word. They may want proof. So now what's the proof? Your decision letter. give them your decision letter. They see exactly what you are rated for. So now SAD now. Hey, I got 50%. You're not telling SAD you got 50%, but you're telling your unit because you're obligated to tell your unit because your 50% check is more than your drill check.
Yeah.
So now, and what always happens when they say SAD and the technician program, you're not supposed to do you're not supposed to do unit work on SAD time or technician time. Does that ever happen? Nope.
No.
You're always, it's intertwined.
Yeah.
So guess what's going to happen now? Your unit, or let's say you fail a PT test on your SAD side, or you're doing something wrong, or your SAD commander needs a reference letter or something. Your commander on your unit side is now going to write that into your reference letter. Well, this person has 50% service-connected disability. Then next thing you know, you're getting called in. So you're 50%. Okay, so what are you 15% for? Now you show them, PTSD? Okay. You do know now that you're rated for PTSD, you can't carry a weapon, right? That's your SAD job. Because you can't carry a weapon.
And then they pull your good stand-in letter, and then that's it.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're screwed. So I advise any military personnel on SAD or not. Well, on SAD, or if they're in corrections or whatever, once they're using a firearm for their job, do not file mental health. Wait till you get out.
But needless to say, if you are in that situation, you should seek professional help from a therapist.
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, like don't be like, all right, I'm suffering from bipolar depression, but I'm gonna wait until I get out.
Bottle this up for a little bit.
Let me just push this down real quick.
So see, that would only help you when you're ready to file your claim, because now you have a history of going to a therapist, right? So now that therapist is going to write a diagnostic letter when you're ready to file that says, I've been seeing this such and such for this long. And that's where it shows that length of time that you've been seeing that therapist. So it can work in your favor to wait.
So go to therapy.
Now, let me go back to the people that think that they can get a disability or get VA disability and still get drill check. So, if you have a disability, it doesn't matter what rating you have. Once your disability check that you get that's tax-free every month is more than your drill check, and drill check, let's go with a Muta 2 or a Muta 4. If it's more than your drill check, you cannot collect both. At the end of the year, the VA is going to send you a form. Once the VA knows that you're service connected, at the end of the year, the VA is going to send you a form, right? And on that form, they know how much drill days you have, right? It's going to be pre thing on that form. And they're going to say, so how much, let's say you have 40, 45 drill days, right? You're going to say now, okay, they're going to ask you how many days of those 45 days you got paid for. And you have to put the number of how many of those 45 days you got paid for. Now, if that number that you put is gonna be more than what you've been getting, now you owe the VA money, and you're gonna have to pay back, and you're gonna have a debt. So, my suggestion is don't try to be smart. And again, that's one of the frauds that soldiers do. Not because we're soldiers means that we don't do fraud. Any way you could get by, you're going to get by.
That's why I brought up that question.
Yes. I have seen a guardsman say, you know what? Fuck it. I'll get both. I don't mind. I'll pay the money back at the end of the year. Not realizing that it's being tracked. Right? And then at the end of the year, when the VA send them a debt letter of $4,000, wait, how am I getting $4,000? Hello, you're 60% disabled by the VA, and you're getting, let's say, $1,500 a month because you have dependents. That's another thing. Your disability, you get paid for your dependents. Wife, kids below the age of 18. And if it's school age, college, below the age of 26. So let's say you're married and you got 4 kids. Your 60% is going to look real lovely, right? But guess what? Every month drill that you go to, you have to pay back that amount that you're getting every month from the VA. So let's say you're getting $1,800 a month. And I'm just using that as an example. Let's say you're getting $1,800 a month from the VA, tax-free, right?
Right.
You take the VA money and you still take drill check. You do a muta 4 or a muta 6. You're going to have to pay, you're on the hook for that $1,800.
Jesus.
So let's just think about that. You say, fuck it, I'm just going to let it ride and I'm going to take the drill check and the VA money every year. At the end of the year, how much money are you paying back?
Too much.
So
At least it's interest free.
wait. So you're saying it's
Don't do that, by the way.
Yeah, don't do that.
So you're saying it's not a choice. Like if you're, let's say, a disabled veteran, 100%, and you're still in the guard, right? And you go to drill, you're gonna have to pay that back. That check you got for that month, you're gonna have to pay it back.
Yeah, but that check is going to be times 12 because it's for the whole year.
So the only way you can actually thrive from being a 100% disabled veteran is by not being in the military anymore.
No. There's paperwork that you fill out to tell your unit, like, hey, I'm service connected. I'm getting money.
Oh, so stop paying me.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
do not pay me for drill.
Okay.
Yes. And then, again, I'm going to use me as an example. The last 2 years of my military service, I was 90 and then I got 100. At 90%, I had to tell my unit that, hey, I cannot receive drill pay. I'm only going to drill for points, right? And then they're going to be, why you don't want drill pay? Because I am 90% VA disability.
That's interesting.
And then you're like, okay, all right. So they'll do the paperwork, and you'll go to drill every drill, and you'll be just drilling for points, not for a check. Your check is the VA money that comes in every month.
That's a whole different attitude right there.
Yeah,
to come to drill and not get paid.
Exactly.
It's like you said, what again?
Yeah. So just figure, right? You're going to drill at let's say you get an 80% VA disability rating, right? You can't get a check from drill, but you're going to drill, even though you're getting that check every month from the VA, again, and it's tax free. When you go to drill, what are you looking forward to? Just the aggravation? You ain't looking forward to a check because you ain't getting paid.
You just count down the
So
days.
then that sparks. Well,
Did y'all have people in your unit like that?
I know 2 people that are like service connected, like that 100%. But I don't know if they actually are getting paid from drill or not. That's something I'm gonna ask them tomorrow.
Yeah, I only knew one person in the 133rd who was getting 100%.
There was a couple in my unit, and they would every drill they would come, and be like, yo, I'm not even getting paid for this. Why am I here?
Yeah, that's a whole different attitude.
That's a whole different
That's-
attitude.
Like,
So I got a question, all right? Because, you're still in the National Guard, so you're still obligated to perform your duty. A soldier's getting 100% and they're not getting paid for drill. And then, you know what? Fuck you, I'm not coming back. And they don't show up. Does that interfere with their VA money at all? Or
No.
is it just...
No, that does not interfere with their VA money.
oh
But
shit.
it's going to be a negative thing for you on your guard side.
Yeah, okay.
And you're going to go through the AWOL process
Okay.
and all of that stuff and eventually get kicked out.
So the VA rating, is it also based on your rank?
No. It has
Okay.
nothing to do with your rank. It has nothing to do with how long you've been in the military.
It's just a certain
It's
percentage.
just your service. Your Title 10 service.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So an
Yeah.
so an E7 and an E4 could make the same amount
If they get the same rating, yeah.
if they get the same rate, huh?
But here's again, this is something that you have to take into consideration. That E8 may have a wife and 3 kids.
So they get
That
more.
E4 may not have a wife and 3 kids. So that E8 is getting paid for his spouse and his dependents. That
Right.
E4 is not.
Right. Okay.
That's a whole different
There you-
ballpark
I
right there.
learned something
And
new
here,
today.
so here's the thing. You can Google Hill and Patton VA disability calendar, right?
Hill and Patton.
Yes. And it will show you all the percentages, and you can put in if you're married, if you're not married, and it'll calculate how much if you're at what specific percent, how much you'll make every month.
Well, yeah, you should put that in the description.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll throw that in the description.
Yeah.
I'm also going to throw your information in
Sure.
the description if you don't mind.
No problem. I don't mind.
I do have another question, right? So you do the intent to file. You have a year to submit all the proper documentation. What happens if you don't and that year passes?
So the intent to file just expires.
And then you just have
and
to do it again.
another intent to file. So now your intent to file date goes to the new intent to file.
Okay.
So you don't get retro paid to the old intent to file because that's expired.
It'd be the new one.
Back to the new one. Yeah.
and is this the year or the fiscal year?
The year.
The year. Okay.
January to December.
Oh, okay. All right.
The VA doesn't go by the fiscal year. They go with January. and this is why when soldiers are getting disability and they take their drill pay, they think the year is, what's that? October till September.
Yeah.
No, that year is from January till December.
That's why I had
And
to
that'll
ask.
throw a lot of soldiers off. Like, wait a minute, hold on. Why am I getting this now? It's not even the end of the year.
Wait.
It's the end of the year for the VA.
Wait, so let's say instead of filing in January, let's say you file in March. Do you still have until December, or do you have until next March?
Next March.
Till next month.
Next March, okay.
So if you sign the intent to file today, which is the 30th of June, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have 2023. You have until the 30th of June 2024 to get all your paperwork in, your whole packet in, and the packet includes your DD 214, your lay statements, which could be from you and a battle buddy or a family member that knows you're going through these issues, right? Your diagnostic letters, any medical documentation not any medical documentation. It has to be current within the last 2 years, right? And the actual application. That's the packet. Once all that's filled out and signed, we submit that to the VA. Once the VA gets it, it's in process, someone looks at it, and then they request your CMP exams, right? Once they send out the request for the CMP exams, the CMP company, the company that's doing the CMP exams, are going to call you. They're going to say, hey, we're looking to schedule your CMP exams. They may, let's say you file 8 claims. They may schedule all 8, or they may just schedule 1, right? For that specific injury, right? And so basically you can have 8 different CMP exams that you have to go to.
Jeez.
Now, if you don't go to those CMP exams, this is why going to the CMP exams is so important. If you don't go, if you call them and say, hey, I can't make it, they'll reschedule. But if you just blow it off, they'll just write back to the VA that veteran did not show. And once you do that, the VA sees that, they're like, okay, he doesn't want this money, so they'll dismiss your claim.
Sheesh.
So now you have to claim all over again. Now, do you have a time limit to claim? No, because once you get that decision letter from the VA, you can turn around and say, wait, what? And then you can claim, you can go to a VSO the very next day and say, wait, I want to refile all this stuff.
Sheesh. So, what would you say is the most common claims that people put in for?
It's hard to say. Extremities, shoulders, back, lower back specifically, knees, ankles.
Sounds like it's describing.
It sounds like
No.
it sounds like your joints and your like back.
Yeah. Headaches, sleep apnea.
Oh yeah.
Here's
There
the
are a lot of that.
sleep apnea is very tricky. 2 years ago, if you do a sleep study and you apply for a sleep apnea disability, and the VA looks at that sleep study, and that sleep study say you have sleep apnea, depend on how severe or mild it is, they'll give you a rating for sleep apnea. Now, they are not just giving that rating for sleep apnea. You have to have a secondary, you have to have a primary breathing illness, like rhinitis or sinusitis or asthma or some kind of upper respiratory illness that you can file the sleep apnea that would cause sleep apnea, right? And you will file that sleep apnea claim secondary to any one of those illnesses. But you have to, those upper respiratory illnesses have to be diagnosed first.
Okay. Is there any claims that could get you med boarded out? Because I know a lot of people also say they want to claim stuff, but they don't want to get med boarded. They don't want to leave, you know, especially if they're like on state active duty or something like that.
No, your claims process have nothing to do with your military. The only thing the claims process have to do with your military service is you getting your DD 214, right? So if someone says they want to get out of med board, that's on the military side. That's not on the VA side. So in order for you to get out med board, you have to have, and again, I'm using myself because I've been through this. You have to have 4 consecutive dead man's profile, and a temporary dead man profile is what, 3 months. So 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's a whole year. You have to be on a dead man's profile, right? Then, when you go to your, what is it called, your SRP, they have to recommend that you go to the med board. And once you go to the med board, it's not guaranteed that the board is going to give you a medical retirement.
Okay.
Well,
I was about to say.
What about loss of limb?
Now,
I mean, like
that
if
is-
you get deployed,
If you get deployed and you lost a limb, that is self-explanatory right there. You're non-deployable after that. Let's say you lose an arm, you're non-deployable. So right there, well, let's look at it this way. If you lose a limb while you're on deployment and you're a guardsman, you're on active duty when this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not coming off of active duty orders because once you lose that limb, you're going to a hospital, right? And that hospital is going to take care of you until you get better. Therapy, prosthetics, physical therapy, and all that time you're on Title 10 orders.
Okay.
I know someone right now that got injured at a deployment and they're still on, the unit came back and they're still on Title 10 orders in Walter Reed.
Yeah.
This is why people, when they get injured seriously, they go on WTU, right? And they don't like to get off because they're getting that Title 10 pay.
Yeah, when I got back from Kuwait, my squad leader went to that. Never saw her again.
Yeah, because basically when you go to WTU, they're basically gonna treat you for that injury, right? And treat you for everything else. But now you gotta understand, right? Let's say you are a parent, right? And you got kids. You're not seeing your kids. You know, so it's gonna start to affect you mentally, right? And it's gonna cause other things to happen, right? Then you're gonna go to counseling because you're depressed. And depending on how that counseling go, that could end up being a claim that you make. So being on WTU, if someone is on WTU, depending on how severe their injury is, you might as well just say, see you later, because you never see them again. The next time you see them, they're out of the military. Because even if they're not at 20 years, right? Let's say they're at 10 years, they'll probably get med boarded out because they're not, what is it called? They're not, oh man, I just had it. Basically, they can't do soldier tasks. They can't carry a weapon. They can't go into a field. They can't do none of that stuff.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. Haven't seen that person since.
Yeah, I know a girl who went to, was it Walter Reed?
Mm-hmm.
She was there for a while. She was there so long that, like, when you're there for a certain period of time, they give you more freedom. It's like AIT. Like, all right, your face blue now. So that means you could go to a different state for the weekend and just come back.
Yeah, when you're on WTU, right? There's no formation. There's none of that stuff. You're just there to go to all your doctor's appointments, right? You have somebody that you're going to report to, like an E7 that you're going to report to, but there's no formations. And then the doctors, which are civilians most of the time, don't work on the weekends. So on the weekends, you have your time to yourself.
Sounds like a paid vacation right there. You know, depending on your situation.
Right.
Yeah,
This is the reason why when a lot of people go on WTU, they don't like to get off and they find other things to have to go to the doctor for.
Right.
That makes sense too, because like especially as a National Guardsman, that Title 10 money
That
is
Title 10
different.
money is crucial. Crucial.
Yo.
That's
Yeah, that's
Crucial,
different. Especially the money that with the taxes back. Jesus. I was like, okay, this is how they get you to do 20 years. It makes sense.
And that's how they're gonna get you.
No, they not
that
doing
is
it.
how they got.
What you said? 2 years? 2 more years?
August 2026, my contract's up.
Yo, and then you'll
August
only have
2026.
6 more years.
August 2026. I'm gonna call you and be like, yo, is your paperwork? Did you write your letter yet to get out? Yeah, I'm gonna hear
Listen, I'm gonna invite you to the yacht party.
you. Roger. I will be there.
My ETS party is on a yacht. Live my best life.
I'll pay to see that.
I got no faith in me.
Listen,
Honestly,
listen. No. It's
that's
not.
That's
Go
how
ahead.
it was when I was getting out. Like everybody was like, "Yeah, you've been saying that for years."
Listen, it's not that I don't have faith in you, right? It's the system and what they do to reel you in.
Yeah.
It's just nothing that they can offer me
What,
that's worth me staying in.
$60,000.
Nah. You ever broke down the bonuses?
Well, yeah, they tax the hell out of them.
No, even without the taxes. Let's say you get a $20,000 bonus for 6 years. Divide 20,000 by 6 years. How much money that is a month?
Well, they break it off, so you get 10,000 for the first year when you sign, and then you get the other 10,000 after the third year, which is tax, so it comes out to like 6,000.
Even if it's tax free, right? Let's say $20,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Divided by 6 is 6 year contract. That is $3,333 a year.
And they tax that $33,000 a year.
When
So
you put it like that, is it worth it?
Well, it's worth it now because you could use that money to buy. I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Nope.
I'm not trying to keep people. Hey,
listen, I don't know about you guys, but I know for me. And then here's the worst part for me when it comes to being in the guard. As a federal technician, which I was a federal technician, right? The federal technicians don't get bonuses. They're not entitled to bonuses like a regular soldier is. And on top of that, there's no BAH. So you're getting paid by hour.
Jesus.
He said,
BH is the main bull right
It
there.
is. That's why everyone is still on SAD.
It's a recruiting tool now.
It is.
You ever heard of Asylum?
There's this thing called state active.
yeah,
duty.
but here's the thing with that, right? You can go to basic training, AIT, come back out, right? How long is it going to take? You got to put your name on a list. So the recruiters can tell you, you could come back and go on the asylum mission. No, you come back, go to your unit, say, hey, I want to be on the asylum mission. They'll put your name on a list, and then you're going to get called as the number you on the list when they need.
But that's what they don't tell the new soldiers.
Of course they don't. Again, let me tell you something. As a E7, I've seen it all because I was there. I've done it. That's why I know that soldiers, the recruiters can tell a soldier, you could come back and go on the asylum mission. No, you're not going to come back today and go on the asylum mission next week as your new job making BAH. No, you're going to come back, report to your unit, right? And on top of this, again, this is something else that they don't tell you. You have to have a letter of good standing to get on SAD or an asylum mission. In order for you to get a good standing letter, you have to be with the unit 3 months.
So
I thought it was a year.
It depends on the commander.
It depends on the commander.
Oh, okay.
That happened to a soldier of mine where she had like a special situation, so they were gonna make that exception for her. But that day we happened to have a range. She didn't qualify at the range.
Oh yeah.
So she had to wait like another
So now
3
she
months.
got to wait for another 3 months, or depending on depending on the commander that you have or the leadership, they may say, all right, you know what? I'll be sympathetic.
They weren't.
Hey, let's go. Let's go with. I'm gonna try to get you in with another unit that's going to the range. But if you don't qualify, you ain't getting on the asylum mission.
That's the number one most asked question that I get from new soldiers. Is like I just got 3 new soldiers this month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure at drill the squad leader is going to be like, hey, they need letter of good standings
And be like, no.
because they want to go to state active duty. They want to go to asylum or Empire Shield because that's what the recruiter told them. You could join. You could be making this much amount of money. Look, you young. You got a GED. And so
Army recruiters are still savage.
They listen. That's them. They're making their quota. However they make their quota, they make their quota. But it's not easy for a new soldier coming up, man.
yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
And I get it too because a lot of them join because they need employment. So, like they get they get decent money in basic and AIT, and then they come back in this economy. You know, you go out to eat, you're spending $400.
Here. Yeah, like this drink and that freaking waffle is chicken and waffles is $40-something.
Yeah, that
like
it
what?
was crazy.
I'm just
like
saying.
$70.
I don't mind. I don't care. But I'm just saying. Using as an example, right?
That was 2 pieces of chicken. 2 pieces of chicken and 1 waffle cut in 4. I mean, it was good though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
it was good.
that price.
You know, a lot of these soldiers going into basic training in AIT coming back out and be like, all right, I'm gonna be getting this amount of money for the time. No, you're not gonna get that amount of money for the time you're in. You're just getting that while training. And let me just go back for a second. Filing a claim. Training is not. You cannot use training as to file a claim because you don't get a DD-214 for training. AIT, if you get injured in AIT, you can't file a disability claim because you don't have a DD-214 for AIT.
What about annual training?
What did I say? AIT? I said AIT.
Yeah.
Annual training. You don't have a DD-214 for annual training.
Okay. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. But I got you.
That's my dyslexia. Sorry.
Oh, that sucks then. So, for veteran service officers, do you guys also offer services to dependents of the veterans?
Only if they're looking to file a claim. Like a survivor's pension or an aid and attendance benefit for that veteran.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay. You learn something new every day. What is a common mistake that people make when it comes to the VA or transitioning out of the military?
Common mistakes? Not knowing what to do to set themselves up for when they get out to be able to file a claim. That's one of the big mistakes, especially with the Guard, right? Let's say you do 15 years in the Guard, 3, 4 deployments, whatever, right? Even though you have those DD-214s and you have a LOD, you may use your outside insurance to go to the doctor for whatever you have. No, use the VA. You have it for a reason. Just go register at the VA, right? Get your VA ID card and use the VA. Because when you come out of the Guard and you decide to file a claim, all your medical treatment is through the VA, right? So when you come to someone like me to file a claim and all your medical treatment that you're trying to file that claim for is through the VA, it's easier. All I say is, hey, go to the VA and bring me a copy of your problem list. A problem list just tells you everything that you've seen a doctor in the VA for. You don't need no current diagnosis because your current diagnosis is on the problem list. It just tells you what you've seen a doctor for, right? And once I submit that, the VA in the process puts your social security number in and they can see, okay, he's been going to the VA. Let's reach out to the VA to get all his medical records. Also, at the same time, we're going to reach out to the DOD to get his service records, right? It just less time for the process. If you have a private doctor, right, now you have to sign a release of information. Once the VA gets that packet, that's part of the packet. Once the VA gets that packet, now the VA has to take that release of information, send it to your doctor. Wait for your doctor to send back the information, your medical records. So let's say you've been going to 6 doctors for the claims that you look in the file for. You got to send 6 release of information to 6 different places and wait for those records to come back.
So So it just cuts the middleman out.
Yeah,
Going to
utilizing the VA just cuts the middleman out and lessens your amount of time that your claims process is going to be.
And it's cheaper.
So say for those people who are concerned maybe with like the level of care that they're getting at the VA, would you recommend them seeing maybe their private doctor and the VA?
Yes. So go to the VA, establish that treatment. Yeah, the VA may not do a good job. Go to your private doctor, right? For the same thing. When you're ready to file a claim, at least that medical treatment is in the VA, right? We don't have to know that you've been going to a private doctor to see for your knees. Once you've established treatment in the VA for your knees, they're going to give you pain medication, x-rays, maybe a brace. Those are histories of your medical condition for your knee through the VA. So I would always advise anybody, go to the VA. Establish that medical treatment record through the VA if you're looking to file a claim when you get out. You don't have to do that, but it's easier.
Yeah, because with Paul, that's why I went with Paul. Cause I'm like, what kind of service am I gonna get at the VA?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt that question because when I hurt my knee, I went to the VA first, and the fucking doctor, he was like, "Yo, you can't run anymore." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, don't run. Don't even ride bikes.
Don't even.
It's all about management now." I'm like, "What?" Like, I'm panicking. I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Listen,
Just stay still.
they say that, but they don't mean forever. You can't do it no more.
That's what he told me.
That's
I
what-
shit you. And he was a black
He
doctor.
said you can't do it no more.
Nah, he was like, listen, it's all about pain management now. He was like, don't run, no heavy impacts, no riding bikes. He was like, you can swim.
Did he tell you for how long?
Indefinitely. I had to go to physical therapy. He wanted
But
me.
you could run now, right?
Yeah, because I paid out of pocket and went to Paul.
That's what I did. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, and I told Paul. Paul was laughing.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Even though you do that, at least you establish that record through the VA for your needs. So now when you get out in 2026, right? August, you could call me and be like, yo, I want to file a claim for my knee. All right, bring me your problem list. It's on your problem list. I don't need your outside doctor.
Okay. Yeah, because that was... I was panicking. Started getting depressed, like, yo, it's over. I'm about to get kicked out. I can't run no more.
You gotta get the cane out.
Yo.
And now look, you still in
For now.
for now.
Right.
Army's been good to me, but it's time to move on to something different, you know?
I hear you.
I do got a question. Have you ever heard about the people? I don't know if this is true. I just hear the rumors about it. Mm-hmm. Like, people will fly out the country and pay somebody. I don't know who. I don't know if it's a
hold on.
doctor.
Wait 1 second. I'll be back. You know, I'm getting older now. VA doesn't go older. Be right back.
Say fly out to break their legs, and then they fly back and they're like, oh, my legs are broken.
Nah, they fly to some place. It's like a treatment facility. You stay with them for a few days, and you pay the money, and then they get you 100% VA. Yeah, I shit you not. Like, people been talking about it on SAD.
That's part of the fraud thing and the abuse.
I'm pretty sure it's fraud.
Yeah, of course.
But why do you gotta fly out for it?
Because it's not in America. I think it's like, I don't want to say it's DR. It's some fucking country.
That's interesting. I don't know what just happened, but my seat just like shrank.
You said it shrunk?
Yeah, just like down for whatever reason.
I said we got this from 2 to 5, right?
I was wondering that the whole time.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, it's still 5.
I thought we were.
Oh,
We're just doing this one.
yeah, I want to do a second one so we could wrap up. We could do like a short one.
Okay.
So are we transitioning to like a different thing now for the last hour?
Yeah. Like, because we could wrap it up. Because I mean, this was a 3-hour show. If we keep it going.
Have y'all ever heard of this show called Hell of a Boss?
A hell of a boss now.
It's a very good show.
Stop watching TV, man. Dominate.
Lock in.
You gotta lock in.
What?
Yeah, what was your question? Sorry about that.
So, I hear people talk about this, right? But apparently there's like a facility with a doctor or doctors or something of the sort who's connected to the VA, where they stay there for a few days, they pay them, and they come back with 100% rating.
Like, no. I've never heard that. And maybe that's
I
one
think
of
that
them.
might be
Maybe
the
that's
point.
one of that fraud that they're doing. I've never heard that.
I think
I've
that
had
might
to
be
ask.
the point.
Because I've heard people mention it, but I mean, even if I did know, I wouldn't admit it. But I've never. I don't know someone who was like, "Yeah, I did that." It's just people who's like, "Yo, you know, you could fucking fly out to DR and do this." DR is just an example. I don't know what the country is.
PNN.
But so we are coming to a close of the show. Is there any information you want to provide to the people out there listening?
In terms of what?
In terms of anything really, veterans, service-connected issues.
Like probably things you wish you would have known when you were still in. You know.
Yeah. If you're still in, or if anybody is still in, and they're looking to file a disability claim, one, I would advise them to use the VA. Utilize the VA for your medical treatment. You could also use your personal doctors, but make that medical history through the VA, because it's going to make your process shorter and easier, right? Ask questions. Reach out to your local VSO. Reach out to me. Reach out to people that's retired. Ask questions. If you're looking to get out on a medical, ask questions. Just keep asking questions. And if you're in the Guard and you're not on state active duty, and you don't have to carry a weapon, and you want to file a disability claim while you're in, you can. But just take into consideration, if your claims are over what you're making on a drill pay, you're going to have to pay that money back at the end of the year. Or you're going to have to go to drill just for points. So,
It's the nature of the beast.
And just to confirm, that's over 80 and over, right? 80% and over.
no, it doesn't necessarily have to be 80% or over. It's that dollar amount, right? That you're rated. If that dollar amount is more than your drill pay
Okay.
for either a Muta 4 or a Muta 6. No, a Muta 4 or a Muta 2.
Okay.
Right? Because most of the units do Muta 4s anyway. Right? Muta 6s sometimes, Muta 8s sometimes. And they do AT. During AT, if your AT is going to be more than 30 days, my suggestion is to call the VA and say, hey, I'm going on active duty for over 30 days. Can you not pay me for this month? Because eventually, if you take AT pay and VA money, the VA is going to find it. The VA has, other than the IRS, they have the best financial people out there, bro. They'll find money if you try to keep it away from them.
That makes sense too, because people who are going on deployment, they stop their VA pay.
Yes.
because it was more money going overseas than it would be collecting the VA.
Yes. Just imagine you don't stop your money. And you like, yeah, I'm making all this money. When you come back at the end of the year, you may come back from the deployment, right? Because the deployment is 9 months. You're not going to get hit then. At the end of the calendar year, towards the new year, they're going to send you a letter. Hey, you've had this much days of drill, right? Or active duty. How much of these days did you get paid? And don't think you're going to lie, because they're going to reach out to, because your commander has to sign it, and you got to put your unit's phone number. They'll reach out to the unit.
Oh, it makes me think of Al Capone, the IRS, bring him down. Uncle Sam don't play about his money.
They don't play about their money, man.
Well, that wraps up this episode. It was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Wait, hold on. See, I brought my list, bro. So you were very thorough of sending me the questions, and I actually prepared. Okay?
Oh snap!
You think this was a joke, bro?
You got good handwriting.
No, my shit is like shit, bro. But
Is it cursive? It looks cursive.
really, guys.
I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like.
But yeah. So I did come prepared. We went off script. That's cool, But one of the questions that I was looking forward for you to ask is, what was your fondest memory of being in the military?
Oh yes.
My fondest memory of being in the military is, if surprisingly, my two joint forces missions that we were on. Before you got to the 133rd, the 133rd was on the C2 CRE mission. That was a mission with the feds. It was a chemical mission, just in case something happened. Couple of states was involved. Those missions are always good because you get to see a lot of people and meet a lot of people, right? And my COVID mission, that was a good mission. And the reason why I said it was a good mission is that at that time I had like 18 years, 17 years of being in the military. I have never seen a National Guard activation, where we stayed in hotels. And not just rinky-dink hotels. I mean,
Yeah.
Marriott hotels.
The Marriott, there was a lot of good hotels there. I was J4, and then we were in charge of those hotels.
And it was good to a point, and to a degree.
Course. There was still
and then
crazy
soldiers
shit
just start to fuck it up because
meth labs and fucking 3D printer and
listen,
prostitution rings.
Soldiers, hotels, and BH, they do not mix.
They do not mix. But yeah, the COVID mission was, and all my joint forces missions were my fondest memories of the military.
I like that. What would you say is or was the most difficult part of transitioning out of the military?
The most difficult? For me, I won't say it was the most difficult. I think for me, one of the main reasons why I made the decision to leave and retire is because I wanted to leave and retire on my terms. I didn't want them to kick me out. I didn't want them to, kind of try to reduce me. I didn't want in my 21 years, I don't have one bad NCOER. Knock on wood, I'm glad I don't have one bad NCOER. And I knew that if I stayed with the leadership I had at the time, it was gonna get there. So I figured I have my 100%. Just bow out gracefully on my terms. No one is going to say we're gonna kick you out. None of that stuff. And I made that decision to move. Now, was it a difficult decision? Yes, kinda. Because that's all I knew for 21 years. Right? Here's something that people don't understand and don't realize. When you retire, if you do over 15 years in the military, you're programmed in a different way. Mentally. Right? So when you get out, that adjustment to civilian life is going to be hard. If you're being honest with yourself, it's going to be hard. That's why when you asked me the question, how is retirement? I said it has its ups and its downs. Because it's going to be hard. And if you are not aware of how hard it is, you're going to end up in a mental institution. Because we, as you guys as military personnel, well, you're not in, I'm not in, you guys are in, right? You guys are still in, and you are, your mentality is suck it up, drive on. Mission first, we got to do whatever we got to do to get the mission done. I don't want to hear no no's, we got to get it done. Civilian world is, you can say no. Who's going to do anything to you about it? There's a consequence to you saying no. You may lose your job, or you may, not get what you want. But there's no one can tell you can't say no. In the military, you're mentally programmed to, this is what we got to move, and we got to move it up that hill. Whatever it takes to get it up that hill, we're going to do it. They're not going to give you what you need, but they want you to get it up there. In the civilian world, this is what you got to move from here up that hill. Okay. Oh, shit. There is things that I can use to get that up that hill, and I don't have to do it? Okay. That's what I'm going to do. So, mentally, it does something to you when you're in the military and you're programmed a certain way. Yes, it's nice saying, oh, well, I don't have to go to drill. I don't have to wear a uniform. I don't have to wear boots. I don't have to do that. But mentally, it does something to your head.
I could see that. You use that analogy, and it reminded me of a time. This is when I was still in the 133rd, and there was a last-minute mission where we had to drive to Camp Smith to go pick up vehicles or something like that. And so we left as soon as possible, and when we got there, we realized we didn't have a gas card, and we needed to fuel up the vehicles. And I just remember, calling whoever I could call, seeing how we could get the gas card. And I remember looking to my left, and there was a hose from one truck. And I see this soldier trying to get the gas out of one truck so that we could put it in the other truck. And I remember just looking at him like, this can't be it. But you're right. It's like, we got to get the job done. And so I ended up just paying with my own cash to fuel the car.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Doing that, right? That hurt you because you never getting that money back.
Yeah, but that man could have died.
He could have.
Man died at a drill status.
He could have, right?
No,
But
no claim.
it's no claim. You're right. But again, it does something to you mentally, bro. And if you're gonna be if we're being honest about it, and I'm being honest about it, because it can help people that's in and looking to retire, right? And not realizing the second or third side of effects that being in the military can cause when you transitioning into civilian life.
Mm.
That's why I say it has its ups and it has its downs.
You know, I can understand that. I look forward to experiencing that.
Good.
There's more questions. Bless you.
Thank you. Oh,
How did, because you mentioned how difficult the transition can be. How was that first month? Like that first month where you knew the 133rd was at drill, you didn't have to go. How was that feeling?
I still had the what you call it. I still had the drill schedule in my phone, and it alarmed the days that I'm supposed to go to drill. So it did alarm, right? It did wake me up, right? But then I had to realize to myself, wait, hold on. I don't have drill. I don't have to go to drill, right? So it was good that I didn't have to go to drill. But then a part of me is like, shit, I'm missing something.
Mm.
And that what I'm missing is going to drill. And it's going to take a while for you to realize, oh shit, I don't have to go to drill. It's a good thing that you don't have to go to drill, but on the flip side of that, you're going to be like, wait a minute, hold on. Something is missing. What's missing? I'm missing something this month. Oh, drill. Oh, I don't have to. But mentally, it's like, wait, something is off. I got to prepare for something. I got to do something. But when you do realize it, and you realize, oh shit, it's drill. Oh, I don't have to go to drill. I'm out. For that quick second or time, it's like, yo, wait. Oh, I don't have to go to drill.
Okay.
so it's like a shell shock. Like you're just the transitioning for it. So you're saying it took like a few months before you're like, all right, I know I don't have to go to drill. My alarm isn't set. I'm just, maybe if my alarm is set, it's because of either work or like I have something to do in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, basically. Now, here's another thing. And you brought up, waking up. I've been waking up at 4, 3 o'clock for 21 years. I cannot sleep late. I can't sleep after 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just, see, mentally, these are the little things mentally I'm talking about, right? You can't sleep late. You're preparing for what's about to come. But even though you don't have to do it because you're not in anymore, it's going to take a time, and it's not just a month or 2 months. It's gonna take a while for you to for your brain, for you to rewire your brain that I don't have to do these things. So just imagine someone is in for 10 years. The longer you're in is the longer it's gonna take for you to rewire your brain and retrain your mind. And not all of the lessons that you learn or things that you learn in the military can translate smoothly into civilian life. It's gonna have a problem, gonna have some kind of issue. In the military, if you have soldiers below you, you can tell them, hey, do this, do that, delegate. In the civilian world, who are you delegating? They're gonna look at you, who the fuck you think you talking to, telling me to go pick up that trash. Hell
Unless
no.
you're the supervisor.
Unless you're the supervisor.
Yeah.
And even as a supervisor in the civilian world, you still have to watch what you say and how you say it. So it's just little things like that.
Did you, when you finally got out, did you try not shaving for a while?
Yes, I did. But I got ingrowing hairs and it hurts and it itches, so I just shaved.
Okay. All right.
A lot of soldiers are looking forward to. Oh, I'm looking forward where I don't have to shave. Because you haven't shaved, because you've been shaving, and your body is accustomed and your face is accustomed to shaving every 2 days. It's going to take a while for you to grow that beard or whatever you think you're gonna grow. You know?
Fair enough. So what do you do now, like outside of work?
Outside of work?
Yeah, like since getting out, have you developed any hobbies or anything like that?
Yes. I cook more. Didn't have the time to cook when I was in because again, I was a technician and I'm on the guard, so I used to leave quorum at 4:30 in the morning and not get back home until like 6 or 7 at night.
Sounds about
And
right.
this is my last 2 years of being in the military, right? Because the Bell Parkway and the Southern State always full, packed, right? But now that I'm retired, I'm cooking more. I'm learning how to, I'm doing things that I was never able to do because I didn't have the right timing. I've been on a 7-day cruise. I've never been on a cruise before. I've been on a 7-day cruise, and I'm going on my next cruise is already booked for next year. I'm working out more, like being in the gym.
So I hope for the fans, y'all seeing a trend here.
But it's good. I feel good. I feel good that I don't have to, wear a uniform anymore. If I put on any military paraphernalia, it's because I want to.
Okay. I want to end this show with not a story, but a memory. Like I always appreciated that when I came to the 133rd, you were the one person I could always go to for advice. And out of everyone that I've known, you probably collected the most I told you so. And I remember talking to you about going on a deployment. And I was going to be S3. I was going to be doing operations. It was kind of like CP. I was like, oh, this is going to be cake. I'm going to be chilling. And I'm talking to him about it. He was like, they tell you that now. Watch. Right? And I remember, I think we were still in Texas at the time. And the first sergeant calls me into the office. And she's like, congratulations, you're the new motor sergeant. And now, he knew, because I'm a 91 series by trade. I didn't have any mechanical experience at all. So, I think I called you. And when I told you, I think we just laughed for like 10 minutes. And sure enough, that deployment was not a vacation. It was not easy. I worked like a slave. And you were right. But I will tell you that I learned how to be a 91 chart. Well, I don't know how to be a 91 chart, but I know how to be a 91 X-ray, I'm going to say. I learned the management side of maintenance. And so that was one of the funniest I told you so's.
Listen, man. My first deployment, right? I was in the 42nd. I was in an aviation support battalion, right? as a mechanic. We went over there. Oh, you guys are gonna be doing maintenance. We packed tool kits and all that shit. 2 months into being there, they pulled us off of that, and the whole unit pulled us off of that, and we were doing force protection on the front gate of the base. None of us was freaking security forces or MPs. None. We had to figure that shit out. I think at the time my first sergeant or commander was maintenance based. That's what they knew. Just imagine as a commander and first sergeant, you have to pivot seriously from maintenance to force protection? What?
Yeah, that's two different things right there. But I feel like they always pull from maintenance whenever something changes. At least in my experience, they're always willing to sacrifice people from the maintenance section.
We can have a long conversation about that. Again, I was a motor sergeant for 11 years of my 21 years. So I know it and seen it all. But hey, look. You went over there, you experienced, you learned, now you have more knowledge of being a motor sergeant, and you know the ins and outs of being a motor sergeant. Luckily for you, you had technicians over there that knew what to do, because I'm sure the M-Day drill soldier didn't know what to do when it comes to fixing an engine, because they don't do it every day.
Every day? Not at all. We was fixing issues with vehicles from before I joined the Army. I remember we removed the filter at the bottom, and the filter was dated like 2009 or something like that.
That just tells that nobody did the service on that vehicle.
Mm-hmm. But, you know.
You live and you learn, and now you're here, and
it was a good experience.
It was a good experience. And I'm glad you had it. And it's not just you, right? It's a lot of other people that they pull from the 133rd that, you know, that I talked to, or they came to me, and, you know, and I'm like, listen, be careful of this. Be careful of that. You shouldn't do this. This is what you should do. And then they follow some of my, I won't say advice, but they took some of my advice. They listened to some, they didn't listen to some, and the ones what they didn't listen to, they, just like you, they called me and was like, yo, Sanvi, thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wasn't gonna expect this. And so, yeah.
Good times. But again, appreciate having you on.
Yeah, man.
We definitely got to do this again over some drinks. Talk some funny stories.
I could just imagine the funny stories. You know, we didn't even get into my best deployment, but crazy as it is, my best deployment out of my 2 deployments was the one with the 369.
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, what? Because of what my job was.
Sensing a part 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a part 2. I'm here for it. Well, it was a pleasure. This is to wrap up the show. I decided I'm not gonna do that whole subscribe or like, comment, whatever. Fuck
But
that.
You just did it.
Now you gotta end it up.
You know what? Happy 80-20. Happy Levicity. Fuck being average, and we'll speak to you all soon.
All right.
Oh, man.